We are here, Locked Interview with Felicia Spencer. Thank you so much for giving us your time. How's your morning going so far?
Going pretty good. Just working a little bit and getting ready for some training in a couple hours.
Very cool. We were at the Jungle over there in Orlando around a month ago talking with Seth. And he's like, hey, we got some big news coming up. We cannot wait. Something about Felicia. And we're like, okay, when it breaks, we'll definitely have her on. We're so happy to have you on. And the breaking news is November 16th, Invicta FC Featherweight Championship Fight for it. How eager are you? How excited?
I'm really excited. I mean, I've kind of been picturing this coming, but it's kind of unreal, that it's time. And I'm really excited to get into the thick of camp and put the work in before the fight. It's very exciting.
Right. Now, Felicia, you're 5-0, and Pam Sorensen, your opponent, 7-2, I believe. So you guys are like the elite of the elite. Who knows, the winner of this, they may go to the UFC. You never know who's watching, and like I just said, your guys' records are showing how elite you guys are. Are you the type of person to let each fight is different, right? Do you think there's added pressure, or do you think this is just an opportunity that you look at in a positive way?
Yeah, I'm always positive about my fights. I always take them very seriously, and every fight is the most important fight. The next fight is always going to determine your future. So I don't feel like there's any different kind of pressure other than it being for the title, and definitely a step up in the level. But I feel like, even though she's got a little bit more, a little bit more experience, she's fought people that have more experience. She's been fighting as a pro longer than I have, but I have a whole lifetime of martial arts behind me that, I feel like her experience on paper is more, but I think we're a little bit more equal than it would show with experience. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think maybe she has more pressure to not let the sort of new up-and-comer in the sport, in the division, take her out. But I'm happy to do that. So
Very cool. We're excited for you. All 5 of your fights have been in Invicta FC. Is that something that just happened? Is that hey, Featherweight Championship? Is that the main goal, or is it that UFC question with Joanna and Thug Rose and all those great fighters? And it seems like female MMA is just on fire in a great way. I think Ronda Rousey broke that glass ceiling, and then after that, they're the main events. Definitely females. Island Fights 50 is happening late in September, and we just found out the main event is Hannah Goldie, that female MMA just taking over. Just talk about that.
Yeah, everything you said is true. Ronda put her foot in the door and kind of made way for everyone else, and the new, the women had something to prove, being exciting and just being different. So, everyone's got a different style, and I think there's, a different style that women bring to the table also with their backgrounds and everything. I forget where I was going with that, but I started with Invicta. I actually won a tournament and won an Invicta contract. It's kind of a special thing to start with Invicta being 0-0. So it doesn't happen very often. Yeah. And it's really the best promotion to be in, other than, the top dogs in, UFC. So, it's really a perfect scenario is to get the Invicta Gold and then, either defend, or eventually everyone's, dream is to fight for the UFC and win that strap. So that's definitely in the horizon. But I'm really excited to be, one of few that would hold the Invicta Featherweight title. So it'd be awesome.
That's awesome. Everyone, make sure you check out Invicta FC. We can't wait to watch you fight. But Felicia, when you think of all these greats that we're mentioning, like Joanna, precision striking, Thug Rose, her timing and her boxing is just impeccable. And then you think of Ronda Rousey, her throws and her submission game. So when people are going to mention Felicia, how would you describe your fighting style? What will people take away from it?
That's a great question. I feel like I'm pretty well-rounded, but I want to. One of my friends commented on one of my fights that there's one thing that can be guaranteed, that I'll just do something kind of bonkers in a fight. So, so I kind of I'd like to be known for just kind of finding creative ways to strike and to submit people. I've already kind of showed a little bit of that. So I think being creative and exciting would be, what ultimately what I would like to be remembered for. So, and of course for winning and being the best.
3 things you can count on, Felicia: death, taxes, and Felicia Spencer doing something bonkers in her fight.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a funny one for my buddy Will. So
I do have a stylistic type question or a strategic question. I don't know why I find it so interesting, but it is. I just love how every fighter approaches the fight differently. Are you the type that studies their opponent before the fight, or do you just focus on you? You're in a terrific gym, obviously in the jungle, and so do you just focus on your game and what you need to work on, or have you really studied her tape, her weaknesses, and her strengths?
A little bit of both. My coaches and my teammates even really, really study my opponents even more than I do, I would say. But I also like to go back and watch my fights, like you said, to kind of look at what I've done and see where she might become, I know she's watching my fights, so I want to kind of put myself in her shoes and see where I'm needing to improve or what her game plan might be. So it's definitely a mixture of both. I'd say probably more I try to focus on my game and my coaches focus on her game a little bit. So it's a pretty good mix for my camp.
Yeah, absolutely. Great answer. Like I said, we were there. We were at the jungle around a month, 6 weeks ago. Fabulous gym. What got you there? What got you to the jungle? What got you to Orlando, Florida?
Well, I knew one of the owners, Mike Lee. He and I actually went to the same high school in a small town in Southwest Florida. And I knew him. I did martial arts down in our small town, and he happened to be also at the same gym. He opened up the jungle and left. And then a couple years later, I happened to go to the University of Central Florida, that's in Orlando, and that's kind of what brought me to the area. And not really knowing anyone in Orlando, being out here, he invited me, to come to the gym, and it kind of just became like my Orlando family pretty quickly, and I just was always there. So that was back in 2009 when I arrived, for college and went to the University of the Jungle. So, yeah.
We spoke to Seth. He's an amazing guy. He's extremely funny, by the way, too. So we've been having this theory that we've been running by fighters, and I definitely want your opinion, because when you watch women fighting, there's a lot of close fights, like razor-close fights that can go either way, and you wouldn't be wrong. So my question for you is, how do you like this theory? So no pressure here, but what we want to do here at the Locked In Sports Podcast, Dave and I really thought about it. In every sport, there's a scoreboard: basketball, football, soccer, baseball, every sport. So we think if the judges should submit their score after every round, so the fighters know who won that round, the coaching staff, and the fans. So there is no question mark on who won. So think about it. If you're going into round 3 and you think you're up 2 rounds, no, the judges actually scored it 1-1. You know you need to win that 3rd round. Do you like that idea?
That's a really interesting idea. It wouldn't hurt. It would be nice as a competitor to know where the scores are at, for sure.
Absolutely.
And it's something that might be hard to implement, with timing, with only having a minute between the round and everything, and trying to score everything. I wouldn't want anyone to be rushed doing it either. But if that could work, that would be a really interesting, piece of data to include in the, with coaches to be aware of it and everything, because sometimes, like you said, you don't really know. But I would assume that if it's close, that I didn't win it. I just kind of have that, like, hey, if it was close at all, that I need to win the next, round dominantly. So
that's a great mentality to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially we always thought for a title fight. Imagine a 5-round title fight, and it's 2-2, and the judges know it. The scoreboard says 2-2. We have Felicia and Anna knows it, like Pam knows it. That would just be so exciting going that 5th round to know the winner of this round wins the Invicta Featherweight Champion. I just think that's something that needs to happen. Yeah. Scoreboards 2018. Come on, Dana White, let's make this happen. But we're so.
Yeah, I really like that idea. It's fun.
Very cool. Like I said, we are so excited. UFC Fight Pass, November 16th. It's in Oklahoma, Invicta FC 32. the floor is yours. Definitely plug away any sponsors, gym, all that great stuff, and then make sure you get locked in at the end, all right?
All right, sounds good. Well, I have to thank all my teammates. They're just as excited, if not more excited for me than I am. And all my, sponsors. I have the Other Side Apparel that's working with me, doing some good things, and my longtime sponsor, Lucas, Lucas Wine and Spirits from the Midwest out there. I tend to fight out in the Midwest, so they're a big sponsor for me as well. So I'm, excited to to represent all of my teammates and my sponsors. I'm trying to work in the locked in thing, man, but I can't do it.
How about this? I'll do one for you. I do one for you. My locked in is that you, the Phenom, will capture that strap. You will win the championship that night, November 16th. My locked in is that Felicia Spencer gets the W.
Oh, perfect. There we go. Thanks for helping out.
Definitely. Well, no problem. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate your time. We can't wait to see you again. We'll talk to you after you win that belt. And, make sure you stay locked in.
All right. Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. What an amazing athlete, Dave.
I know. I can't. The Phenom.
I wish
for a reason.
What stuck. Okay, there's so many great answers in that, but what stuck to me the most is she's like, well, if it's a close fight, I don't care who won the round. I know I need to win the next one.
Yeah.
If everybody had that mentality, then I just feel the sport would be in a different place. Like, that competitive nature is something that very few people have, and those very few people are usually champions.
Absolutely, and she will.
I think she will be.
2 months away.
I think that is locked in, and can't wait to watch it. Invicta FC 32, Felicia Spencer. Please make sure you guys go and support her. She's on Instagram and social media, so Felicia Spencer, she's a rising star, guys. Make sure you check her out. And also a quick shout-out to Winners Bar, Port Orange, Florida, our main man Jeff there. And then also Pete White Boxing and MMA. Make sure you check out that gym. If you're an athlete of any sort, or you just want to get in shape, or you actually want to compete, that gym is for everybody. It's a family atmosphere.
Yeah.
They'll get you in shape, but yet they'll get ready to kill.
And it's like an open house feeling sometimes. Like if you're based in Orlando, if you're like our main man Brennan, who we just had on the podcast, and if you want to train with Anderson Hutchinson, who's about to be in the UFC, Michael Beast Boy Davis, Chris Mighty Mixon, go there to Pete White's gym, get some rounds in. I'm telling you, it's the best place, the best absolute gym I've ever been to. I love it. It's a family of killers.
It really is. It really is. And then speaking of another great gym, she's fighting out of the Jungle. So a big shout out to the Jungle in Florida. And man, Seth, what a great guy.
Yep. I can't wait. We got to get him back on and talk about 80s movies.
And his diet. That's the main thing, right? The diet. But
hey, let's end this. Let's wrap it up. Cuzzo, thank you. Love you. It's been great hanging with you. You too, man. Guys, download, subscribe, Locked In with 2 N's, all podcast platforms, Locked In with 2 N's. If you have an Android, there's no reason why you can't do this either. Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify. But then on Apple Podcast, it's for the iPhones. No matter what phone you have, download, subscribe, and leave a comment. We want your feedback, whether you like the interview, you don't like it, you have a question for us. We're on all social media platforms, so please reach out to us. We are the People's Podcast, but most importantly and lastly, stay locked in.
Yeah, you now locked in with the best. We ain't rocking with the rest. And when it's game time, we gon' put you to the test. Come the ball, we hitting it, kicking it, or we dribbling, passing it, or we running, or it's the ring that we flip you in. So what's the news? You want the scoop? You gotta keep it locked. To Dave and Max podcast through your speaker box. What's poppin', my friend? You know the drop in. And the only thing left to do is keep it locked in.